And welcome back, folks, to round 3 of the Death Battle Winner Take All tournament. We're now starting to really whittle down the ranks here. Should note that Naruto doesn't. There it is. Naruto did get a bye for this round. It's just the way the whole thing worked out. That said, he will be facing the winner of Booster Gold and Beerus come the next round. But we're now getting down to the wire here. It's now no longer just, it's easier to pick now. It's starting to get a little trickier. So let's just get into it, because I'll admit my battery is... I probably have enough time, because I can now do these a lot quicker now that the amount of combatants has been cut down significantly. Android 18 versus Voltron. In my opinion, that fight's going to go to Android 18. Yes, Voltron is a large, durable machine, has survived being near a black hole, space, all that. But Android 18 can blow up a planet if she really wanted to. And she's small enough to keep avoiding Voltron. Remember the fight with Goku and Bergamo? That's basically what it would be. That she'd be hiding in a Voltron's blind spot and just blowing up all the components, just firing energy blasts right from the get. So that to me, I felt like it was a no-brainer. Even if Voltron did hit her at least once, she'd probably be able to walk it off at least once. Probably a couple times, to be frank. So for me, Android 18 won. Sephiroth versus Wonder Woman, though, there was a couple matches, and there's more than a few matches in round 3 that I really had to think of. Okay, so Sephiroth, superhuman soldier, warrior, has a lot of magic and mana at his disposal, and a massive generative factor. But Wonder Woman is someone who's comparable to like Superman in terms of super strength, durability. Millennia's worth of fighting experience. Her weapons arguably are even better than his. Like her Amazonian steel could possibly cut through his sword, but his sword is so long and he can wield it so quickly that it's debatable if she could get in quick enough. These two would probably have a really solid fight in close range. She easily trumps him in terms of physicality. That I don't think anyone's going to put into question. But he's got so much versatility to him that I don't know if she'd be able to, that she'd definitely have a hard time keeping up. Ultimately, it came down to me, who wins the long haul gambit, because she's definitely going to be able to do a lot more damage to him than he is to her, but he can actually recover from that damage with a healing ability. Then you have Supernova, and I don't think she can survive a Supernova. Wonder Woman's durability is probably planetary level. I'd even argue it's probably a little beyond planetary level, but I do not believe she has if she had a star explode into her face, I don't think she could survive that. Superman could survive that because that's the nature of the character, feeding off the yellow sun radiation. Wonder Woman is not a character who can do that, and I think that ultimately is what it came down to, is that Sephiroth, I think, would kill her with Supernova. She's not like Raven, where I actually think she could get out of the Supernova by just hopping out of that dimension. And this is where Death Battle, I think, does kind of get the analysis right, where this whole way the Supernova works is that the Sephiroth you see in that is just an illusion with his illusion abilities, and he actually sent you to a different dimension or different time or whatever. And Wonder Woman doesn't have the ability to get out of that, so I think she would either die or survive the attack, get sent back to the present moment, because that's what happens to Supernova afterwards, if you survive it somehow. Get transported back, but be so injured that he would deliver the killing blow. So I actually think Sephiroth takes out Wonder Woman in that fight. Ultron versus Optimus, it'd be a cool fight, but Ultron has possessed entire races of individuals. Optimus, even though he carries, I believe, the Allspark with him, I don't believe he could survive Ultron. Ultron is literally an assimilator of techno beings, basically, and that is exactly what Optimus is. So, unfortunately, Optimus would try with the fury of 1,000 Autobots, but Ultron would win. So Ultron wins. Ghost Rider versus Darkseid was tough, and the reason I say that is Darkseid is certainly someone who actually does have the ability to legitimately kill Ghost Rider, Omega, all that. But Ghost Rider, I feel, is one of the few characters that actually has a legitimate way of killing Darkseid, because Darkseid, despite his immortality, his fourth dimensional status, his actual body, whatnot, he does have a soul. He's died. He can die. So, now, granted, the effects of killing him are or it's catastrophic, because he actually is kind of like an integral part of the universe. He's a necessary evil that needs to exist. And the penance stare, in theory, does have the power to do that. And if you think, well, Darkseid's well above someone like Ghost Rider, technically, but is he well above someone like Zarathos, who is the actual spirit of vengeance? Now, I'm not going to argue the fact that Darkseid is probably a higher level of being than Zarathos. Not really going to argue that. But it's not about whether or not he is a higher level being. It's to what level of a higher level being is he? What is the disparity or difference in level of power between these two? Because if, let's say, Darkseid's a 10 and Zarathos is a 5, well then, yeah, Darkseid, I actually wouldn't argue the penance there wouldn't do anything. But if Darkseid's a 10 and Zarathos is a 7 or an 8 in terms of where he stacks, then I would still argue the penance there would work. And Zarathos is certainly someone who at his full power might not necessarily be able to beat Darkseid outright, but give him a solid freaking fight. If he can go toe-to-toe like Mephisto, Galactus, beings who can like decimate universes, then you could easily argue he could go toe-to-toe with Darkseid. Hell, the penance there works on a being like Galactus, who is certainly comparable in terms of power to a Darkseid, because Galactus is certainly a multiversal being. So it ultimately came down to, okay, could the penance there work on Darkseid? And I would ultimately say yes, it would work on Darkseid. But and that would mean the Hellfire would work, in theory, eating Darkseid's soul. Darkseid doesn't have any real specific protection for his soul, but that doesn't mean Darkseid would lose. The problem ultimately here is, A, the Omega effect, the Omega beams, the Omega sanction, all that. The Ghost Rider does not have any immediate protection against that. It doesn't. Darkseid could actually just erase Zarathos from existence with the Omega beams. He's not a being strong enough to counter those in terms of what they're capable of doing. It's not like Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet where he could counter the Omega beams. Or a character like Doomsday who just completely tanked the Omega beams. Because he had just evolved to pass those. But it's more to the point that Darkseid is not dumb by any stretch of the means. And he would probably be able to tell that I need to put this thing down because this thing actually poses a legitimate threat to me. So I think the fight actually would end pretty quickly. Even with Zarathos coming out, all he's got to do is Omega Effect or Omega Sanction. And yeah, Zarathos is done because he doesn't have an immediate answer to the Omega Beams or the Omega Effect. He could possibly block with energy, sure, but it wouldn't matter ultimately. Physically, Darkseid could easily just could go toe-to-toe with Zarathos. It would be a heated battle if it drew out. And if it drew out, there is a risk for Darkseid to actually lose that fight. I actually believe that. However, given Darkseid's hindsight, forethought, abilities, and the fact that one actually does have a somewhat answer to the other in terms of how to protect themselves, I will actually go Darkseid in this fight. I will say Darkseid, I think he wins. I think, though, it is a close match. It's closer than I think a lot of people do, and I would love to see like an actual versus fight with it. I think that'd be cool. The Mask versus Kiru, that one I feel is like a no-brainer. That one's the Mask. I mean, Kiru's awesome. I would have loved to see him maybe go one more round, but yeah, the Mask is just that freaking Toon Force and magic, man. Freaking Toon Force and magic. So yeah, that unfortunately gives him the edge over Kiru. He's just going to go wacky, drain the battery, and that's it. Static versus Death was another hard one, because Static has literally melted. God knows how much. I literally just rewatched the Deathbattle to get some feats he did. He can reattach his arm, manipulate electromagnetic fields, energy blast, energy fields, move metal. He literally melted God knows how much ice, which was like, how much did they calculate it at? I'm trying to remember. Let's see here. Where was that feat that he did? Trying to find out where that feat was they showed. Yeah, I literally got the video up here right now. Again, I don't go to Deathbattle for all of it. Don't worry. But when his feat, the feat they showed literally plays a factor in a fight against an ice user. So yeah, let's see here. Where is that darn feet. Oh, there it is. There it is. I believe it melted 2,000 tons of ice. That was it. Which they said resulted in an energy requirement of 78. Oh, God. 786,954,707,036 joules of energy. Jesus. Which did they give? That's basically 188 tons of TNT. That's pretty impressive. And a lot of what Esdeath would be able to throw at him wouldn't work because he's got that much power. He can drain his energy, though. His energy can run out. He's got more maneuverability on the field thanks to his static saucer. But she's got more actual combat and killing experience. Ultimately, for me, it came down to she would go to her trump card, freezing time, and he has no answer to that. And then she'd take his head off, make sure to get killing blows in, and then he drops. Unfortunately, yeah, I think that's the real. If he had an answer to time freezing, I'd give it to Static, but unfortunately, I'm going Esdeath for those of you rooting for Static. Beerus versus Booster Gold, I don't think there's any real any argument that it would be Beerus who wins this fight. Booster Gold's more powerful than I think a lot of us give him credit for, sure, but even if he tries to go back in time, that's just him running away at that point. And Beerus is a Kai, can affect all things through timelines as well. So, yeah, Booster Gold would lose that fight. Insanely easy. Rogue versus Gundam Epion, I would go Rogue in this fight. She's smaller, she can avoid him easier, she can still physically compete with machines like him, so I would go Rogue. She would probably start tearing it to pieces bit by bit, and there you go. The Epion system does have some future predicting abilities, but I don't think it would be able to save it in this fight. Then you have Spawn versus Master Chief. Master Chief has done a lot, certainly has done a lot over his time. But unlike someone with Superman where it would have been close because Spawn does not have any sin to feed off of with Superman, even though Master Chief is the hero, he's not squeaky clean. There's some morally ejected, he's had to wipe out races before, even if they were technically villainous and they were just opposite sides of war. As a soldier, you are not squeaky clean. I don't think there's any way to go about it. If you've ever had to take a life, you are not squeaky clean. There is blood on your hands, no matter what the cause was. So because of that, while it might not be a great amount of sin, Spawn does have something he can feed off of Master Chief. Then add to the fact that he could just manipulate the armor he's wearing, probably rip it off his body if he really wanted to, with just magic alone. Or just use God knows how many forms of different magic, teleportation, possession, you name it, Spawn's got it. And take Master Chief apart from there. I would go Master Chief in that fight. Or I would go Spawn in that fight. I think Spawn is the winner. Vegeta versus Thor. If you've ever seen the debate Goku versus Superman, then you know who I think wins that fight. And this is a very similar fight in that regard. And Goku versus Thor as well. I think Vegeta would win this fight. Thor is, I will admit, when I did Goku versus Thor, I downplayed Thor a little bit in terms of his durability and power output. Thor can go toe-to-toe with individuals who can threaten the universe. Even the multiverse to some degree. But his level of power is not quite on the level of a universal destroyer. He has abilities that can certainly take on universal destroyer. Because he's the god of thunder and can make lightning, he's actually a perfect, he's a very good weapon against Null. But Vegeta is a being with universal levels of power. So, and he's honestly probably a better martial artist despite Thor's experience. Could wipe out a planet quicker than I think Thor could. I think it's just, frankly, Vegeta's got more power and not more experience, but it's just a better fighter. More power, better fighter, and he can just fire energy blasts all day long. So, yeah, well, until he runs out of energy, but you know what I mean. Vegeta, I think, just has more power, so I go Vegeta in this fight. Falgore versus Shao Kahn. Falgore is a tough bot, certainly, but Shao Kahn's Elder God physiology, his magic, his energy blast, and that freaking hammer alone would probably just cave in Falgore's head. So, unfortunately for you Falgore fans, I'm going Shao Kahn in that fight. Then we got Godzilla versus Iron Man. In theory, Iron Man could build a suit that could take on Godzilla. But we're not going with in theory, we're going with what Iron Man brings to the table. Most of Iron Man's suits honestly would not be able to handle Godzilla. Even the Hulkbuster suit. Because the Hulkbuster suits are normally designed to feed off gamma radiation. as far as we know, that's not what Godzilla produces. It's radiation, but we just don't know what type of radiation it is. Honestly, there's not much Tony could do in most of his other suits. Even the Hulkbuster suit can only do so much. Godzilla could easily just, blast it, stomp it. It's strong enough to compete with the Hulk, so it could give Godzilla a fight. But I don't think the Hulkbuster suit would actually be very good in this scenario. The only suit he has that could actually work is the Endosim suit. And even that, it's debatable. It can absorb energy, but it can only take so much damage. And Godzilla is still just too much brute power, I think, for any of Iron Man's normal, traditional, or even more advanced suits to really handle. He does have a couple other Buster suits as well, the Thor Buster, and there is theoretically a Galactus Buster that was never used, if I remember correctly, but they were never used. So I would say Godzilla is, unfortunately, without prep time for Tony, too much of a monster for him to really take on. So I'm going Godzilla in that fight. Then you got Raiden versus the Flash. I go Flash. Raiden's cool, powerful, he's strong, but he cannot take on someone who's multiversal level fast as the Flash. So yeah, the Flash definitely wins that fight. I don't think there's any question of that. Doomsday versus Zoro. Unfortunately for Zoro, this is where the One Piece train ends. You were the last member of the One Piece crew. After this, Zeno's going to have to squish your universe. Yeah, I mean, would he even be able to hurt Doomsday? Probably not. Doomsday at this point has evolved way past the ability to be hurt by just swords, even enhanced swords. Unless it's a type of weaponry that, Doomsday isn't used to for a sword. But nothing that Zoro could really do would do anything except annoy Doomsday, and then Doomsday would just, kill Zoro. So Zoro loses that fight. Finally, we got Mega Man EXE versus Broly. Now, so someone actually likes to go in the comments and actually give their predictions, which is cool, absolutely. And says that Mega Man probably has it because he's actually got universal level feats. You are aware that Broly was able to break the universe several times over, right? Along with Gogeta? Broly was able to break Broly theoretically is, as Deathbattle calculated, and again, I only go to Deathbattle when I feel the numbers work, and I feel the numbers work here. Broly is leagues beyond the fight, leagues beyond Battle of Gods Goku with his fight with Beerus, which was threatening to destroy the universe, which is much larger than our universe, which we can assume that the universe Mega Man EXE lives in is a cyber version of our universe. So we can assume it's probably the same size, roughly, maybe a little bigger, maybe a little smaller. But Broly's the Dragon Ball Z universe is like 9 times larger than our universe, and Goku's fight with Beerus, his clash, Goku was far stronger. That was roughly his base form now, and his God form is much stronger beyond that. And Goku was, as they put it, 30 times stronger than World Breaker Hulk. At Super Saiyan 3 alone, not including Super Saiyan God, Blue, or even Ultra Instinct. And Broly was clapping Goku Blue, and even Super Saiyan Gogeta, until Gogeta went Gogeta Blue and started whipping his ass. So, yeah, they're power-wise, yeah, one is universal. One is way, like, multi times universal. I don't know if he's multiversal. He's probably not multiversal, but his power is so great he can break reality itself. So, yeah, I don't think there's really any hesitation about who would win here. And you might argue, well, Megan's got his battle cards, which was an argument I saw. I was like, yeah, but if battle cards can't do jack against him, there's no point. It's a moot point. It's like, if they can't do anything, it doesn't really matter, does it? So, ultimately, yeah, Broly wins that fight. Sorry for any of you who were rooting for Mega Man. But that is the end of round 3. This one went a lot quicker. We barely didn't even hit the 20-minute mark. Round 4 postings will be up, but like I said, in about a day or two. I like to let the episode sit for a few days before I update or do the next update in the community with a new posting. So keep your eyes out for round 4. Thanks for watching. I've got only the WandaVision review. I didn't get around to it on Saturday or yesterday, so I'm going to do it today, but I got to charge my computer up for a little bit. So keep your eyes out for that. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hit that bell for notifications. Like, comment, share, subscribe. All that good stuff. You know it. You love it. You want it. Have a good day, folks.